Friends, let me ask you something simple. How many of you feel frustrated when life doesn't follow your plan? Raise your hands, be honest. Yes. But tell me, do you believe mentally strong people never struggle? That they never feel hurt, never feel pressure, never break down? That's not the truth. The difference is not in what happens to them, it's in how they think about what happens. Most people see obstacles as walls. Mentally strong people see them as ladders. Ordinary minds get drained by problems. Strong minds get trained by them. So today, let's dive into the beautiful psychology of the strong and learn how they see the world differently. Now, listen carefully, my friends. Life is a strange teacher. It gives the test first and the lesson later. And one of its greatest lessons is this: you cannot control everything around you, but you can always control your reaction to it. Think about it. Can you command the weather? No, but you can carry an umbrella. Can you stop traffic? No, but you can leave earlier. Can you control people's behavior? Never. But you can choose whether to lose your peace because of them or not. That's the mindset of mentally strong people. They don't waste power on what they can't control. They know their peace belongs to them, not to people or problems. Let me tell you a story. One day a young man came to me, furious. He said, "People insult me, they laugh at me, they criticize me. I feel weak." I asked him, "My friend, if someone gives you a burning coal, will you hold it tight?" He said, "Of course not, I'd drop it." I said, "Exactly. Then why are you holding the burning words of others? They're not yours to carry." The boy's face changed. He realized he was hurting himself with others' words. This is how the mentally strong think. They don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" They ask, "Now that it happened, how will I respond?" That one shift changes everything. Because, my friends, life is 10% what happens and 90% how you react. Imagine two people lose their jobs. One thinks, "My life is over." The other thinks, "Maybe it's time to start something new." Same event, different mindset. One becomes a victim, the other becomes victorious. The difference isn't the problem, it's perception. So, if you wish to grow stronger, stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Start mastering your response. True power lies not in controlling life, but in controlling yourself while life unfolds. There's a clear difference between ordinary minds and strong ones. When challenges appear, most people's first question is, "Why me? Why am I going through this? Why is life unfair to me?" It's like they're holding a complaint form, waiting for the universe to explain itself. But mentally strong people think differently. They don't say, "Why me?" They whisper, "Try me." They see every difficulty not as punishment but as practice, a chance to grow stronger. Let me give you a simple image. Picture a gym. When you lift a heavy weight, do you ask, "Why did this dumbbell come to me?" Of course not. You lift it knowing the weight is shaping your strength. In the same way, the strong see problems as life's dumbbells. The heavier the weight, the greater the growth, if lifted with courage. I once met a young girl who lost her father at a tender age. Many would crumble, but she looked at me and said, "Life took my father away, but it also gave me a purpose to care for my family. I won't sit and ask why. I'll ask what I can do." That, my friends, is true strength. When we keep asking, "Why me?" we're fighting reality, and resistance only deepens pain. But when we say, "Try me," we're accepting reality and choosing to rise through it. Life isn't unfair to just one person. Every soul carries its struggles. Some sink in pain, others swim through it. Think of a seed buried in the soil. It's dark, heavy, and silent. If it could speak, it might cry, "Why me?" But that same pressure, that same darkness helps it break open and rise toward the light. Without the weight of the soil, there would be no sprout, no tree. In the same way, pressure is not punishment, it's preparation. So, next time life tests you, don't sigh, "Why me?" Smile softly and whisper, "Try me, life. Show me your best shot." Because every storm that comes your way carries within it a lesson to lift you higher. That's the strength of their mindset. They turn pain into purpose, trials into training, and tests into triumphs. One of the greatest traps people fall into is the pursuit of perfection. They want every plan to unfold flawlessly, every effort to be smooth, every step to be free of errors. But here's the truth. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist in real life. The mentally strong understand this, and that's why they don't chase perfection, they chase progress. Think of a little child learning to walk. Does the child say, "I fell once, maybe walking isn't for me"? Never. The child falls 100 times, yet every fall teaches balance. If that child said, "I'll only walk when I'm sure I won't fall again," it would never take a step. Growth doesn't come by avoiding mistakes, it comes by learning from them. I once met a man frozen by the fear of failing. He planned endlessly but never began. I asked him, "Why don't you start?" He said, "Because I want to do it perfectly." I smiled and said, "Then you'll never start, because nothing begins perfectly. Every master you admire once fumbled. Every great speaker once stuttered. Every champion once lost. The mentally strong don't wait for perfect conditions. They begin with imperfect courage. They know a rough start is better than standing still. Small daily steps, taken with consistency, lead to great destinations. Their mantra is simple: I don't need to be perfect today, I just need to be better than I was yesterday. Imagine climbing a mountain. If you keep staring at the peak saying, "I'll move only when I'm sure I won't slip," you'll never move. But if you take one step at a time, even if you slip, even if you bruise, you'll reach the top. That's how progress works: messy, slow but steady. Perfectionists often break down when life doesn't go as scripted. But the mentally strong write their script while living it. They adapt, adjust, and grow. They don't fear failure because they know it's not the end. It's a teacher. Every mistake holds a lesson no book can give. So, when you stumble, don't condemn yourself. Don't say, "I'm not enough." Instead, ask, "What did this teach me? And how can I grow from this?" That shift turns wounds into wisdom. The river doesn't flow in a straight line. It bends, crashes into rocks, and yet keeps moving until it reaches the ocean. Life flows the same way. The mentally strong don't chase the fantasy of perfection, they celebrate progress. They smile at small victories. They laugh at their own mistakes because every error is proof they had the courage to try. In the end, it's not flawless living that makes life beautiful. It's growth, resilience, and the courage to keep moving that make us truly alive. Have you ever noticed something curious about life? The very storms that break some people shape others into warriors. The same fire that melts wax hardens clay. The difference lies not in the challenge itself, but in how the mind chooses to see it. Ordinary people call setbacks the end. Mentally strong people call them the beginning. Let me tell you a simple story. A farmer's horse once ran away. His neighbors rushed to say, "Oh no, such bad luck." The farmer smiled and said, "Maybe yes, maybe no." A few days later, the horse returned, bringing 3 wild horses with it. The neighbors shouted, "Such good luck." Again he said, "Maybe yes, maybe no." Later, his son tried taming one of those wild horses and broke his leg. The neighbors cried, "Terrible luck." The farmer calmly replied, "Maybe yes, maybe no." Soon after, soldiers came to recruit young men for war, but because his son was injured, they left him. The neighbors whispered, "Such good luck." The farmer again smiled and said, "Maybe yes, maybe no." What's the message here? What seems like a curse today may turn into a blessing tomorrow. Mentally strong people live by this truth. They don't rush to label every difficulty as disaster. They pause, observe, and trust that life has a hidden purpose, even in pain. Think about a bow. It must be pulled backward before it shoots forward. In the same way, life sometimes pulls us back through heartbreaks, failures, or loss, not to destroy us, but to launch us farther than before. The strong understand this. That's why when life pulls them back, they don't panic, they prepare. I once met a businessman who lost everything in a single deal. Everyone around him gave up. But he said, "This failure isn't my end, it's my training." Within years, he built something greater than before. The loss was actually a lesson. Every great achiever has a story filled with setbacks. Leaders, inventors, artists, athletes. None of them reached greatness without falling repeatedly. When Thomas Edison was asked about failing 1,000 times while inventing the light bulb, he said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. I discovered 1,000 ways that didn't work." That's the thinking of the mentally strong. They don't treat failure as defeat, they treat it as education. Let me ask you this, how many times has life not gone your way? Almost everyone would say, many. But think deeply. Did those moments destroy you or shape you? Often, the darkest times are the very seasons that built your wisdom, your courage, and your strength. So the next time you fall, don't curse the ground. Don't call it the end. See it as a detour, not a dead end, a redirection, not rejection, preparation, not punishment. Because the mentally strong don't let failure define them. They let it refine them. And that's how they turn every obstacle into an opportunity. One of the biggest differences between ordinary and strong-minded people is how they deal with pleasure and pain. Most people crave quick happiness, instant comfort, fast results, easy joy. They want to enjoy the present, even if it costs their future. But the mentally strong think differently. They know real joy doesn't come from chasing short-term pleasures, but from building long-term peace. Think about it. If you want a healthy body, you can either enjoy junk food now or embrace the discipline of eating right and exercising. If you desire financial stability, you can either spend on fleeting luxuries or save and invest wisely for tomorrow. If you want lasting relationships, you can either avoid difficult conversations or choose the discomfort of honesty today to build a stronger bond tomorrow. The strong understand that short-term pain often creates long-term peace. I once met a young student always distracted. Late nights, parties, endless scrolling. I asked, "Why don't you study?" He said, "I just want to live my life. What if I die tomorrow?" I smiled and said, "And what if you live another 50 years?" The room fell silent. If you live only for today, tomorrow will punish you. But if you prepare today, tomorrow will reward you. Life constantly tests us with two voices. One says, relax, enjoy now, deal with it later. The other whispers, do the hard thing now so you can live peacefully later. Weak minds obey the first voice. Strong minds train themselves to follow the second. That's why mentally strong people may seem to sacrifice today, but they're actually investing in a better tomorrow. There's a story about the bamboo tree. You water it for years, but nothing seems to happen. No sprout, no growth, just empty soil. People mock you, saying you're wasting time, but the patient farmer keeps watering faithfully. Then suddenly, after years of unseen growth, the bamboo shoots up 90 feet tall in just weeks. What looks like an overnight miracle is really years of hidden discipline. Life works the same way. Short-sighted people quit when they don't see results. The strong persist, knowing roots grow before fruits appear. Take another example, exams. If you choose the comfort of play and neglect study, you'll face panic later. But if you endure the effort of discipline now, you'll enjoy the peace of success later. The same applies to life. Choose the pleasure of laziness, gossip, or distraction now, and stress will visit you later. Choose the pain of patience, focus, and hard work now, and peace will visit you later. Mentally strong people live by this truth. Short-term pleasures often bring long-term pain, while short-term sacrifices often bring long-term happiness. They have learned the art of delaying gratification. They don't pluck all the fruits today, they plant seeds and wait for harvest tomorrow. So when you feel tempted to take the easy road, pause and ask, is this comfort worth the cost? And when you face something difficult, remind yourself, this pain is not punishment, it's preparation. That's how the strong live. They don't trade their future for fleeting comfort. They build a future where peace naturally follows discipline. Picture yourself running on a track field. The moment you glance at the runner beside you, what happens? You lose rhythm, you lose speed, you may even trip. The only way to reach the finish line is to keep your gaze fixed on your own lane. Life works the same way. Our mistake is that we spend so much time watching someone else's journey that we forget to live our own. I once met a man with a stable career, a caring family, and good health. Yet he was restless. When I asked why, he said, "My friend earns more, drives better, and travels often." I smiled and asked, before comparing, "Were you unhappy?" He paused and said, "No, I was content." That day he realized his pain was not from his life, but from comparison. Emotionally strong people understand this truth. The world will always have someone ahead. The comparison race never ends, so they shift focus inward, asking, did I grow today? Did I learn? Did I improve? If yes, they feel fulfilled. Imagine a rose and lotus beside each other. The rose says, "I wish I bloomed in water," and the lotus says, "I wish I smelled as sweet." Both lose peace through comparison, blind to their own beauty. That's what comparison does. It steals uniqueness. Strong minds celebrate individuality. They don't want to be others. They aim to become their best selves. Think of champions. They don't compete to defeat others. They compete to surpass their own records. That's growth. When you compare, you either feel inflated or inferior. Both are poisons. But if you measure against your own yesterday, you will always rise. So, next time you scroll through someone's perfect feed, remember, It's not truth, it's highlights. Don't compare your reality to someone's edited moment. Ask instead, can I be kinder, wiser, calmer than I was yesterday? Mentally strong people master this art. They applaud others without envy. They admire without losing themselves. And they whisper daily, my race is mine, my growth is mine. One of life's deepest pains is rejection. Someone says no, a dream job slips away. A person you love walks away. A door you hoped would open stays shut. Most hearts break under rejection. They start questioning their worth. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'll never make it. But emotionally strong people think differently. They see rejection not as destruction, but as direction. When one door closes, it doesn't mean every door is locked. It simply means life is saying, not this one. But what do most of us do? We cry at the closed door, knock endlessly, and miss the open one nearby. I once met a young man rejected by his dream university. He said, my life is over. I asked, is this the only university on earth? He stayed silent. A year later, he joined another institute where he found his true passion, something he might never have discovered otherwise. What he called rejection was life's way of redirection. Sometimes rejection is protection. Maybe that closed door saved you from years of pain. Maybe that lost job wasn't meant to grow you. Maybe that ended relationship was never your peace. We don't see it in the moment, but strong minds trust the unseen plan. They remind themselves, if not this, then something better. Picture walking on a road and meeting a diversion ahead sign. At first you're annoyed, but what if that diversion saves you from a broken bridge? Rejection works the same way. It turns you away from disaster toward destiny. Yes, rejection hurts, it pierces, but it's not about worth, it's about fit. A puzzle piece isn't wrong because it doesn't fit in one space. It simply belongs elsewhere. Strong people don't let rejection define them. They say, I wasn't rejected, I was redirected. They hold faith that life doesn't close one path without opening another. Instead of clinging to what's gone, they turn and walk toward what's waiting. So when life says no, don't see an ending, see a new beginning. Rejection isn't life being cruel, it's life whispering, not this way, my friend, there's a better one ahead. Those with inner strength hear that whisper, trust it, and keep walking, not bitter, but wiser. There is something each of us carries everywhere, not in our pockets, but within our minds. It's our inner voice, the constant dialogue that never stops speaking. You know that voice, the one that says, you're not enough, you might fail, they're judging you. If left unchecked, that voice can become our biggest enemy. But mentally strong people don't let it rule them. They retrain it. They don't silence their thoughts, they shape them. Remember, you spend more time with yourself than anyone else on earth. If your thoughts are cruel, judgmental, and harsh, you live with a bully. But if your thoughts are kind, uplifting, and wise, you live with a guide. I once met a young woman who kept saying, I'm ugly, I'm useless, I ruin everything. One day I asked, would you ever speak like this to your best friend? She said, never. I smiled and said, then stop speaking that way to yourself. She paused, realizing she had become her own worst critic. Strong minds aren't free from doubt, but they know how to redirect it. When the inner voice says, you can't, they answer, maybe not yet, but I will learn. When it says, you'll fail, they reply, Even if I do, I'll grow. They don't argue with negativity, they reprogram it. Think of your thoughts as a GPS. If it says wrong turn, you don't abandon the car. You calmly reset the route. That's how resilient people treat their minds. They don't panic at the first wrong thought. They choose the next better one. You can't control the first thought that appears, but you can always control the second, the thought you choose to nurture. If the first says, you're worthless, let the second say, I have purpose. If the first says, you'll never make it, let the second say, every master was once a beginner. A man once wrote every negative thought he had for a week. Then he asked himself, would I let someone speak to me like this? His answer was no. So he decided to protect his mind instead of punish it. Over time, his mind became his ally, not his enemy. That's the magic of guiding your inner voice. What you repeat becomes your truth. Say you're unlucky, and your mind will believe it. Say you're growing, and your mind will make it real. Words are seeds. Plant wisely, because your inner speech builds your reality. Mentally strong people guard their self, talk like treasure. They don't allow the critic to dominate. They strengthen the encourager within. That's why even in chaos, they carry peace, because their power doesn't lie in what they tell the world, but in what they tell themselves. My dear friends, life will keep testing us. Storms will visit, people will disappoint, failures will come uninvited, and sometimes even our own mind will try to pull us down. But what truly defines us is not what happens. It's how we respond, how we think, and how we rise. Emotionally strong people aren't born special. They are ordinary souls who make uncommon choices. They decide not to be victims of life, but students of it. They choose not to let pain crush them, but to let pain polish them. They don't wait for perfect days. They grow through imperfect ones. The good news, you and I can do the same. True strength isn't about wearing a brave face. It's about training the mind and softening the heart. It's turning why me into try me. It's choosing progress over perfection, courage over comfort, gratitude over complaint. It's seeing rejection as redirection, failure as feedback, and challenges as silent teachers. It's celebrating what makes you unique instead of comparing, embracing discipline instead of distraction, and replacing self-criticism with self-compassion. Even one of these choices, practiced daily, can transform your life. Because strength isn't built in a moment, it's built moment by moment, thought by thought, choice by choice. So as you walk forward from this day, carry one quiet promise in your heart. No matter what life brings, I will not be broken, I will be built. I will not merely survive, I will grow. I will not just exist, I will live with courage, with faith and with grace. Because the purpose of life is not to escape the storm, but to learn how to dance in the rain. And when you rise after every fall, when you stand again with love in your heart and peace in your soul, that, my friends, is the real meaning of strength. Life will always move between joy and pain, success and struggle, gain and loss. But peace is not found in avoiding these tides. It's found in learning how to stand steady within them. Strength is not the absence of emotion, it is the mastery of response. Every moment that tests you is also a moment that trains you. So, pause often, breathe deeply, remind yourself that you are growing, even when it doesn't look like it. The journey of a strong mind is not loud, it's quiet, consistent, and kind. Keep walking your path with faith. Celebrate your small victories. Trust the timing of your story. And remember, real strength is not in fighting life, but flowing with it.